Okay, evening guys. It's 7:06 in the evening. It's on a Saturday night, March 30th, 2024. We were John C. Roseman, California, responding to Beau with the fifth column. Hello, Justin. It's a bit of a vague article that you did, about almost 3 or 4 minutes. In fact, I'm noticing the trend over the past, what was it, several, 20, more than that? How many videos do you do about 3 or 4 minutes, or even 5 minutes, and that's about it? Usually do about 8 or 12 minutes. But now, you're cutting this short. You're not even providing any links. You just throw, oh, there's this fish out there having problems. No other further information about it? Well, you just gleaned something from the Yahoo News at this point over here this evening about it? So, let's say it to you, boys and girls out there. Coming from UPI, Yahoo News already picked up on this one, so it was posted yesterday, March 29th, 2024, around 3:07 Pacific Standard Time, or Pacific Daylight Time, anyway. And the article was in Florida Keys. Researchers investigate fish spinning and whirling before dying. So basically, we do have more evidence of global warming affecting our fisheries, and not to mention wildlife, a great deal, especially if they're acting more strangely than anything else. Veterinarians are not going to be able to tell you about this one. All you got to do is look at the damn trends, what's happening in the oceans, and then determine that, yeah, the warmer they're getting, the worse it's getting, and they're not be able to live. So, according to the article, if I'm going to read this off here, scientists in the Florida Keys are scrambling to find out the cause of dozens of fish species spinning in the water and dying. They ought to be testing the water and the temperature and everything else about the area, but also more than that. So, not just the fish itself. Hundreds of fish, including the endangered small-tooth sawfish, have been observed spinning and whirling in the Keys, and what the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission has labeled an abnormal fish behavior event. Well, no kidding, Sherlock. Bonefish and Tarpon Trust has received 57 reports of this behavior since it was first observed in October. In October! Now we're getting it? Is it March? What else is... Oh, yeah. BTT biologist Ross Bochet, or Bosek, said 25 research missions have been conducted since mid-January, yielding 150 fish samples. The reports covered 35 different species of fish, including sharks and rays. Whatever this is, it does not discriminate based on species size, migratory pathways, or behavior. No kidding. Casualties that have researchers most concerned are the 28 confirmed small-tooth sawfish fatalities. The critically endangered fish has its population decimated by fishery bycatches and coastal development and is now threatened by this unidentified killer. Fish and Wildlife has sent 52 fish, including 27 sawfish samples, to the University of South Alabama for analysis. The sawfish have become first protected marine fish under the Endangered Species Act in 2003. A little late for that, isn't it? Florida Gulf Coast University professor Mike Parsons. Yeah. Indianapolis 500. In an interview with CNN, said his team has failed to turn up evidence for the most likely suspects of mass fish death, which includes dissolved oxygen and red tide toxins. We don't know what the hell's going on. A water school at Florida Gulf Coast University is working. What was it again? It was Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission. That's what the damn thing was. So make corrections on that one. So the Florida Wildlife Commission, or Fish and Wildlife Commission, and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection and other agencies to determine the cause of the phenomena. Spinning fish, in some cases, recover when moved to clean water, suggesting whatever is causing the behavior is in the water column and crossing affected fish gills. Likely suspect, naturally occurring toxin produced by an algae called Gambidier discus. Researchers detected elevated levels of it in areas where the affected fish are, as well as in the gut contents of some affected fish. The toxin is commonly found to accumulate on fish and coral reefs where the algae is found. It's not typically dangerous to the fish, but it can be dangerous or even lethal to humans. Parsons says its presence was anywhere from 5 times higher to about 30 times higher above average as we've seen over the past 10 years. 30 times averages, huh? Maximum numbers we saw were below 10,000 cells per liter of water. That number's a lot for that Gambier discus. But it's not a lot in terms of our typical blooming species. So that's one reason why this was kind of under the radar here. The link between that thing I just mentioned and the spinning fish have not yet been proven, but scientists are chasing it as a strong lead. So the BTT and the FWC recommend people avoiding eating fish harvested from areas where affected fish have been observed and to avoid swimming in areas with dead and symptomatic fish. The FWC last week said on X that it launched a new event response website. We'll be updating it weekly with the most current information on the issue. And if they haven't got a damn thing left, they'll say so. Probably. We've been knowing this was going to happen ever since we've been seeing the temperature rises left and right. Doesn't take a genius to figure this shit out. But then again, I'm not a genius, so I don't figure this shit out, don't I? I mean, the fish behavior are linked. Are they also linked to magnetic interferences? Potential pole shift? I mean, it's an idea. If we're changing poles at this point, that's going to be affecting a hell of a lot of us here, landlubbers here, not to mention everybody else on the water and under the water. Just a thought, just an idea I don't like to think about. And the other thing they're looking for is chemical and biological in the water. Is it caused by human? Is it not caused by human? But if it is human intervention, are we doing the massive thing on here, changing the atmosphere to a point where we got enough heat coming through to cook the water? I mean, there's got to be processes for that we don't even know how to control yet, even identify. And if it is a gradual increase, is it increasing another toxin that we haven't even identified yet? So yeah, that's kind of concerning me out there too. But in the Florida Keys, we're talking about also the Caribbean. Not just along the Caribbean, Florida waters. We're also talking about in the Gulf of Mexico. Not to mention the Caribbean waters all over the place. How the tides are being affected, how the temperature and water salinity is being affected over there. There's a lot of factors going on, but you think we're going to be hip on that one? So, this is one particular article I pulled up. From United Press International. 2 days ago, off of Tampa. This is coming from WTSP.com. Tampa News Bay out there. And they're reporting it. Almost word per word on this one. Except this author was from the Associated Press, filing his story from St. Petersburg, Florida. But they're almost saying it nearly word per word, except this one was talking about NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They're calling it emergency response. This is, I think, of the article that Beau, the fifth column, was actually picking up on, not others. My question is, how come these guys hadn't picked up on this damn stuff earlier on? What was the delay on it? They didn't suspect anything until they saw mortalities being greater than anything else. That's the trigger. It was supposed to be protected wildlife in the water. How come they're focusing more on it? If the other fishes are also being affected by it, they should have been the pigeons screaming out loud or dying by the thousands. They should have been more. Well before the sawtooth. What made the sawtooth the pigeon that they were focusing on? That's what ticks me off. They should have been researching this for months. But apparently not. But the thing I think it gets to them is also the manatees. In Florida, there's this creature that lives in the rivers and in the swamp areas. I think they're freshwater creatures. Manatees. Docile, but they're usually getting chewed up by propellers left and right. They've always had problems with the manatees, as far as I can remember. They just never had a easier way to dealing with the Florida waters, especially when the manatees are in the area. But they're like a most gentle sea creature. Unless, of course, they're going to be turning crazy enough to say mankind is dangerous and we got to start attacking. But they never have. They never have. So I guess some things are not adding up or cross-connecting with each other. They're not seeing the patterns on these things. And just getting a little bit of a news blurb just to say, well, we got this thing over here. Don't you need to be worried about this one? You got to be worried about this one. My question is why? Because it'll be affecting us. That's why. But there should have been more information added to it. If I'm going to be doing news stories like this on my own channel, I got to be giving more and more information about it. I got to be doing the research on it. Apparently, people who've been educated in the collegiate system had forgotten what research was all about. The juniors coming in, the sophomores coming in, they know more about it because they have to dig further and further into it. And even the ones that have to do the doctorates, they have to have people researching it for them because I think the ones chasing the doctorates have forgotten how to do deep research. My observation. And yes, things like this do rattle my cage on it. Because things like this should have been talked about more often. But they're not, because it's not politically feasible. It's not feasible to be in the public eye. And that's what kind of depresses the crap out of me, because now we got this stuff happening, and how else are we supposed to be looking at it? Our planet's dying. Plain and simple.